Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic. It is a Monday evening, at least once this video gets uploaded, and it's time for a review video. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on all the books that I picked up on Wednesday. If you've been watching my channel, you already know what books I've been reading. I have 6 of them to talk about today, and I kind of perhaps came to some realizations on a couple of books, and you may get a couple of surprises along the way. If you're new to my channel, just a quick a roundup of what happens. I'm going to be looking at the books from least liked to my pick of the week. There will be spoilers, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any thoughts and opinions on the books that I've been reading. They may be different than mine. Try and change my mind. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll never miss another video. Right, let's start with the least liked book of the week, which was Astonishing X-Men, issue number 16, from Matthew Rosenberg and Greg Land being the kind of main creative team here. And it's a shame because I'm really enjoying Rosenberg's work on The Punisher at the moment. However, I think he's been stuck with a bit of a turkey here. And I can only really say, because I had a quick look at this, because this was one of the books that has been so on the edge of being dropped since the last kind of volume of this, the last story arc of this finished, has been basically on the chopping block. This storyline concludes in the next issue. I've looked into December's solicitations and I can't see Astonishing X-Men there. Now that doesn't mean there's not another issue coming back. It didn't say anything about it being the final issue, but I kind of probably will make the next issue concluding this storyline my last one, because it just isn't doing anything for me here. There's nothing substantial there. It all feels a bit of fluff, as we have this kind of ragtag team brought together by Havoc. That's how memorable these people are. And they've kind of, or a couple of them, him and Warpath, James Proudstar, they've kind of hooked up with the Reavers. Well, really they're kind of enemies, but they have a singular goal, and that is to free their respective party members from this federal government who are using them to kind of make better weapons, bigger bombs, and all that kind of stuff. And there's kind of this subplot running through that Havoc has something in his head, some technology that is useful to, well, pretty much everyone. And it's just kind of like one long stretched out kind of battle between the X-Men married up with the Reavers, trying to infiltrate this federal facility. It's all very big and bombastic, but nothing really happens apart from the fact that we learn what is actually inside Havoc, which is, I guess, a kind of program that allows humans to interact with any technology and kind of, I guess, become one with them. And this is what the Reavers do as Cal Surprise. They kind of turn traitorous on this short-lived team up and sink themselves in with these Sentinels that the federal government have been they've squirreled them away, and they're out to kill the X-Men, of course. And I guess we're going to have another long drawn out battle with the Reavers and the Sentinels against this Astonishing X-Men team. and it's just a little bit blah. And I've never been a fan of Greg Land's artwork, so this basically is my penultimate issue, I would guess. If I see that the creative team is changing after this story arc, then perhaps it will get a reprieve and I'll keep trying it. But if Greg Land and unfortunately Matthew Rosenberg are still on this, I'm just not going to be interested. It's Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 311. And I do feel for this new creative team. Okay, they're only going to be on for the next 3 issues, but it must be difficult for any brand new team coming onto a book after like a relatively big name in the guise of Chip Zdarsky, who kind of revitalised this title, kind of made it his own in some respects, gave it a certain style, a certain flair. It took a while for Zdarsky to win me over. He was a little bit too quippy, a little bit too humorous, and not dealing with the more dramatic soap opera-esqueness of the Spider-Man universe. But once he got into his groove, all fair play to him. I really enjoyed his run right up until he finished with the last issue. So we get this new team on of Sean Ryan and Juan Frigeri with Jason Keith as the colorist. And we're deep in Spider-Geddon territory. Well, at least we're kind of scratching the surface. This is another of those kind of franchise event-wide spin-off title Supergeddon type event affair, and I've honestly no interest in these kind of things anymore. They are largely empty feeling. They don't really have any lasting effects. It's all very kind of exciting and, already used this word once, but I'm going to use it again, bombastic, but you'll forget about it within a month, and there'll be another big event that supposedly changed the world of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and it's just an eternal kind of cycle of emptiness, and that's how I felt about this book, really. Spider-Geddon 1 has already come out. I didn't read it. This kind of throws you in, and if you're not reading it, this is just a little bit confusing. I mean, confusing in the sense that why is any of this happening? Because again, much like Astonishing X-Men, this feels just like one drawn out fight scene between this character Morlan, who I'm kind of familiar with. I don't know why. I don't remember reading anything with him in, but he clearly has been up against Spider-Man before, because he's not happy that he has been defeated not once, not twice, but 3 times by our Spider. You think he'd give up by now, but we're talking Spider villains. They never give up. They always think they're going to win the next time. And apparently Morlan is a lot stronger than last time. Spidey keeps mentioning that he's a lot faster, a lot stronger, he's got more stamina, and he's really got Spider-Man on the ropes, and he seems to think he can get out of it using this kind of bracelet doohickey thing. I didn't get that at all either, but I guess it was implanted there so we can continue with the whole J. Jonah Jameson actually being on the side of Spider-Man now and helping him out, because he calls up Jameson to go and get this kind of contraption, and the kind of jokes and the farcical scenes that we get of Jonah trying to get that to Spider-Man. And that was kind of it. And like I said, I just feel sorry for this creative team who should be, probably happy to be working, excited and proud to be working on a Spider title. It's pretty much apart, I guess, from Avengers, Marvel's kind of #1 flagship title. but they've kind of been stuck with a stinker of a storyline, and I guess they could say they've worked on Spider-Man. That's about it. Moving on, Daredevil, issue number 609. This is the first part of what I believe is Charles Soule's final story arc on Daredevil. And of course, he's got to go out with a big bang, so it's the death of Daredevil. And you kind of feel like the start of it, we're clearly getting some sort of flashback, because we get this kind of first page of many memories of Daredevil's past life, all the trauma, the tragedy, the death, the violence, and it's clear he's having a kind of memory regression sort of thing while he is being operated on the hospital table, and it's kind of like, well, where did this come from? So of course, yes, this is a flashback. We find out what exactly happened, and it's Matt Murdock doing a kind of superheroic thing in his kind of non-superhero guise, saving a fellow citizen of New York from getting run over by a big lorry, but that puts him in front of it, and he's not in good shape. And again, this is kind of, I guess it's just a convenient plot point by Charles Soule to kind of already put Daredevil at not full, form. He's not at his strongest, as he kind of expeditiously gets himself out of hospital after this big kind of trauma of being basically run over by a lorry. I don't remember Daredevil ever having kind of like super healing powers, but maybe it's all that kind of meditation stuff that he does that allows him to heal, and I guess bones that are broken heal quicker. But again, like I said, it just feels a convenient plot point to move this story along, where Matt is already kind of on the ropes for the danger, the gauntlet that is to come, which is going to kind of conclude with the death of Daredevil. It's so corny, because literally it's not going to be the death of Daredevil. He does appear to have a more kind of nonchalant look out of kind of life at the moment, that he spent so long being kind of careful and tiptoeing around, and now he kind of really wants to push the boat out. He thinks, an accident like he's just been in could happen at any time, so he's got to do as much as he can in whatever time he has left. And I guess that's the kind of deal with this, where we may have Matt as Daredevil kind of confronting how much fear does the man without fear need to be fearful. We'll see. Again, it felt very kind of disparate. There were just like bits and pieces plopped for no reason, but just kind of to, I guess, pique the reader's interest. Obviously, the whole getting run over by the lorry. Then Matt Murdock reveals his identity to the couple of Inhumans that he's been hanging out with, and then we have this weird villain, I guess he's a villain, that comes out of nowhere in a kind of very, I guess, religious kind of garb there, throwing bone daggers at him, but nothing seems to come of it. It's just an appearance of some strange foreboding villain who's just there pointing at him, you, and as he ends up back at his apartment, who's there? Well, we might as well just throw some romance in here as well. Here's Elektra looking seductive and sultry, and of course Matt Murdock just throws himself into her arms and they have a bit of a smooch. I guess it's a bit early days to kind of work out what exactly is going on here. I mean, from the cover you've got that foreboding background of the Kingpin, but not really mentioned anywhere in here, apart from a kind of like a newspaper headline thrown in there. And just the idea that, you know, instead of, you know, let's inching around trying to find dirt on Kingpin, let's go and properly take him down. I don't know. I think there's an anniversary edition of this coming up. I think it's probably something like issue 600 or 400 or something like that. We will see what Charles Soule has for his kind of coup de grace at the end of his run on Daredevil. Issue 39 of Stray Bullets came out this week, and I do enjoy reading this book. It's at kind of, on the one hand, it's hilarious, it's farcical, it's stupid, it makes no sense, and then on the other, it's kind of like this very dark slice of life, looking at this kind of criminal underbelly set in the kind of like mid to early 80s. But I guess it was easier to enjoy when this was at a cheaper price point. And it kind of, you've got to start thinking now, am I getting the bang for my buck? Because this used to be just like your normal, most, you know, Image comics are probably about $3.99. This is thrown on $1, and I don't feel like I'm getting any more for that $1. Now, I appreciate Lapham's creativity on this. I appreciate that this book is without ads. It's just a complete story on every single page, and he's doing it all on his own. So, and he's never missed a month. As far as I remember, you know, there's been no hiatus for this book. It's always come out on time every month. And I guess because it's the only book he does, that's fair enough. But if you're going to add an extra $1 to a book, I need something more. Don't necessarily want it to be in colour. I love the black and white nature of this. Throw in some more pages. It doesn't feel like it's got any more pages in. And again, as much as I love the way this story meanders and digresses and kind of goes to different universes even, I need kind of, now I'm paying more for this, I need a goal. When is this particular story going to end? Obviously I don't want all the answers up front straight away, but I need to know there's an end point. And right now I could feel like Lapham could go on for another 39 issues, and while that perhaps wouldn't be bad, I don't know whether I'm prepared to pay basically £5 for this. So it's a struggle. And again, I love the book. It's hilarious. I mean, again, it's come to the point of the kind of storyline, the story arc that we're in now, if there are indeed any story arcs within kind of 39 issues. It just seems to be one big long one. But it's kind of come to that point in the story again where everyone seems to be coming to a cross point, and then, you know, the shit is going to hit the fan in a huger way than it normally does with Stray Bullets, as we have Annie coming to the realisation that Kretschmeyer's brother, who's meant to be a little bit insane, there's some sort of relationship there, as much as she doesn't want to believe it because he's apparently crazy. we know now in this issue he's playing it up a little bit just so Kretschmeier doesn't get him kind of involved and deeper into the craziness of everything. We have Kretschmeier working with the prostitute, basically turning on, I can't remember his name. Again, so many characters in this book, so many names, but everyone's got a plan, everyone's got an agenda from all kind of corners of our Stray Bullets universe, and it does feel like it's coming to a culmination of whatever has been going on over the last 39 issues. But this is one that I've seriously got to think, am I getting enough for my money? At the moment, I'm kind of on the fence. I just don't know which way to turn yet. Another issue 39 came out this week. It's East of West from Jonathan Hickman, Dragotta and Martin. And this book is great. I can't fault it. I just wish it would come out at a more regular pace, because it's been gone, I kind of want to say, a couple of months, and it's always trying to pick up the threads of what happened in the last issue. And again, much like Stray Bullets does, and there certainly are story arcs in East of West, unlike Stray Bullets, it kind of feels like, again, we come to the point where all the kind of, it's hard to say who are the villains and who are the heroes, if there are any at all in this book, but for ease sake, the villains are all coming together in a kind of dark cabal and are going to take down the goodies. And we've been here before, and we get the big, again, that word again, that big bombastic moment. There's a fight brewing, but because it's been away so long, you have to pick up with everyone else as well that's been going on. So while we have these fantastically moody coloured scenes from what's his first name, Frank Martin. I mean, they probably don't do justice on the screen, but I love this kind of dark pastel atmosphere that he invokes here. They're all coming together, they're all discussing about the message and what it all means, the end of all things. Is it the end of the world? Is it the beginning of something new and better, or something worse? We then have to move on and talk about all the rest of the characters. So we hear about Crow and Wolf, and the fact that the House of Mao is at their doorstep and they are ready for war. But we all stop there, because then we have to then look in on our the three of our four horsemen of the apocalypse. I love the new versions of them. You kind of get this idea of them kind of growing. We saw them right at the beginning of East of West as these kind of pre-teens, 7 or 8, 9 years old. And then they kind of grew to perhaps their kind of early teens, and now they seem to be growing into kind of young adults. And the way that Dragotta and Martin show this, it's just lovely. It's just fantastic. And then of course we've got to drop in on Death and his son and their journey, and them kind of bonding and getting together. And then we get these kind of flying robot-y hawk type things that Death has to take down, become somewhat overwhelming, and it's all very exciting. It looks fantastic. I've always said the universe that they've created, it just looks fantastic. And then we get a climax of sorts, as Death's son is ushered away to protect him but we have our 3 horsemen of the apocalypse have caught up. So that looks as though something big and awesome is about to happen, and just do it. Just goddamn well do it. And enough of the preamble. Let's, as much as I wouldn't want to see this book go because I have enjoyed it, there comes a time when a book has to end, and I think this book is in dire need of ending now, to make it not drag on and then make me as a reader go, do I really have to read another issue of East of West? I'd rather go out on that high. I think we all would. So I'm waiting. But it was still a darn good read. And all those 5 comics lead up to my pick of the week. It's our welcome return to Gideon Falls issue number 7 from Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart. And although this is my pick of the week, if something, I know this sounds stupid for me to say, if something had been better this week, it wouldn't have been number 1, it wouldn't have been my pick of the week. And I say that because although it's a great book, this feels very much like a setup for the next story arc. They still do it really well, but it does feel like a setup. So it was difficult for me to kind of put these in order, and perhaps if there had been stronger comics, Gideon Falls might not have necessarily made my pick of the week, but it would certainly have been very high in my entertainment value, because I love this book. I have loved it from the very beginning. It's a fantastically creepy, kind of psychological horror book. But we had the huge kind of revelation at the end of the last story arc, which, after some time thinking about it, I might not necessarily have been right, and I kind of thought that at the end of the last issue, the big revelation that I read into it straight away was that we are dealing with 2 separate storylines, one that's set in the past of Gideon Falls and one that is set in the present. However, that might not actually be the case. And when I thought about it, there is an equal answer for this, that these might just be 2 Gideon Falls that live side by side. And I kind of came to that conclusion, certainly after reading this issue, where we have, I guess, the Red Barn, the acting as, I guess, a doorway between the 2 Gideon Falls. The reason for that, not quite ready to show that yet. Jeff Lemire is very much teasing us at this point and leaving the reader very uneasy, which is perfectly done. But it does play around with the fact that there could potentially be people who were living in Gideon Falls, that kind of farmland, arid environment, that have entered the Red Barn only to be transported into this present day or perhaps future version of Gideon Falls that is built up, skyscrapers, flats, tenements, and, you know, industrialized. And perhaps, you know, our characters that are in either of those either time zones or dimensions may not actually belong there. So we drop in with Norton and his psychiatrist, and they've come to the point where Norton believes the Red Barn was situated, and he feels like it's his purpose to rebuild the Red Barn. And that's why we've seen over the last 6 issues him picking up all these kind of like pieces of wood and nails, because he believes they are part of the Red Barn, and he is there to rebuild it, to create that doorway once again to our other time zone, dimensional version of Gideon Falls. What he would then do once he built it is anyone's guess. It's all in the head of Jeff Lemire. And as they are doing this, obviously the psychiatrist, having seen the Red Barn in kind of, I guess, a vision, believes Norton now, and is basically, in some ways, getting sucked into his psychosis, and is now a willing participant in helping Norton achieve his goals. However, by the end of this issue, that is certainly put on hold as a fellow doctor of our psychiatrist comes crashing in, taking away Norton to be locked back up. But the twist, the horror twist that we have on this is that as Norton is gradually locked back up and you see the face of the doctor looking through the kind of eye hole of the cell, the ward, it eventually becomes this kind of demonic grinning demon. So I loved that part of it. Then the other half of it is set in our kind of farmland, arid Gideon Falls, where we have the growing relationship, but obviously not, I'm hoping not in a romantic way, the preacher and the sheriff. And I love horror movies. I love all that kind of supernatural, spooky stuff. And I love it when there's a character who, despite everything they've seen, everything they've been put through, there is still this element of denial within them that what they have witnessed, what they've experienced, is not real, and there has to be some logical steps here. And that's our sheriff, who kind of thinks back to the kidnapping of her brother and who could potentially have done it, because this has nothing to do with the Red Barn at all. Nothing at all. There's got to be some rational explanation about it. And we have this scene of a school bus ride, and we are introduced to the school bus driver, who now the sheriff thinks must have kidnapped her younger brother. And so she's now going to go off, I guess, on her own path. I said, it's a fantastic book. It's beautiful to look at. The Jeff Lemire's mind for storytelling is so super. I love it, and this is a book I'd like to see go on for a long time. But knowing Jeff Lemire, he will do the story he wants to tell, and he will do it and end it when he wants to. And for that, I appreciate it of him. Coupled with Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart's art, this book is priceless and should be on your pull list. Whether it makes your pick of the week or whether it is just high up there as a great comic book, both storytelling and art, it should be on your pull list, so go buy it. And I will stop rambling now and finish this video off. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that great stuff. I will see you very soon with some new comic books. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.